Hi, this is Kelsey Vallejo, and we're going to be talking about internal and external publics and what that means, and then what it looks like at my school, which is Rocky Mountain High School. So first up, this is kind of some definitions between internal communication, external communication, kind of how they connect. So internal, when members of the organization communicate with each other, it's called internal communication. And then it's kind of broken down into formal and informal, which I thought was interesting. So formal communication, that passes through predefined channels, is formal communication. And then informal flows in all directions that arise out of social and personal needs, is informal communication. So I think that's kind of important to point out because I feel like there's a lot of formal and informal communication in the school setting, from just quick interactions to like formal written stuff. And then external, when there is communication between members of the organization with the outside party. And then external communication determines the way an organization connects or gets out information to different people, such as businesses, stakeholders, company brands, that kind of thing. So that's external. So I just wanted to go over some definitions before we kind of jump in. And then there's kind of an intersection between internal and external, and I feel like there's a lot of that within schools. So again, there's some big factors such as close collaboration between teams, and that helps them function. And that ensures the strategic alignment with internal and external so that everyone's kind of on the same page. This helps build trust, support employee advocacy, and that kind of helps employees to promote the school, and just kind of build connections. Like I said, it prevents the reputation gap and, again, like lack of trust. So there's, again, communication I think is super important. And then empowering staff, again. I used Giphy to kind of create a chart, I guess you could say, for all the different types of communication. So the green is all like the internal communication, who communicates internally, and purple is kind of external. And there's kind of, as you can see, a lot happening, a lot of stuff going on. So there's people communicating both formally, informally, internally, and externally, and kind of back and forth. So I wanted to represent that here. This is kind of what it feels like some days. Lots of communication happening. So to get more specific with internal communication, especially at our school, administration, there's a big part of it. They use Microsoft Teams for a lot of things, especially with COVID. Microsoft Teams was like a big thing. We use Microsoft a lot. Microsoft Outlook for all of our email needs. Synergy is like our grade book and a big way to communicate for us as well with parent contact information. I can send different things out through that. So there's a lot of different uses for Synergy, keeping track of student grade, attendance, all of that stuff there. And then there's a lot of, we try and at least do a big, huge group staff meeting every month. And then within that, there's every week we kind of alternate between like a department collaboration with our little, we call it Rocky Connection, and then we have individual work time. So there's a lot of time dedicated for that. And then with administration, there's a lot of oral and written. So there's, again, that verbal component, face-to-face, written through emails, different messages, newsletters, all that kind of stuff, kind of within our school, faculty, and staff. Again, that's mostly email, face-to-face, social media, Google Classroom. And again, like I said, there's a lot of oral, written. And then with students, mostly email, in person. They use Google Classroom a lot, Teams, Synergy, social media, again, kind of that oral written component. And then external communication with parents, it tends to be through the newsletter we send out via email, social media. We have a big social media presence. Email, lots of emails get sent out. Some phone calls. We even have robocalls with our school. So if like big things are happening, snow days, that kind of stuff, there's robocalls sent out. In-person meetings, I feel like our school does a lot of, and probably pre-COVID there was even more. And again, those are oral written, so it could be kind of a mix depending on what it is. With diverse community members, there's guest speakers, so that could be in person or virtual. Department meetings they might come into with For instance, our career technical education, their CTE department, we do stuff where we have to connect with community members. So that could be emailing them through social media, guest speakers, like I mentioned, oral and written, and then partners. So that could be newsletter, emails, social media, and that's mostly written, I would say. And then here's kind of how the two-way communication, like you saw in my little graph, it was kind of all over the place. So parents and teachers, there's a lot of communication there. That's two-way. I received quite a few parent emails, phone calls, that kind of thing. And I also send stuff out, and that could be permission slips, attendance, misbehavior, their student doing amazing. It could be for a variety of different reasons. Usually it's email and then also phone call, sometimes in person, depending on the situation. And then teachers, again, with diverse community members. So there's kind of that interaction, like I mentioned, guest speaker, connecting them for jobs and internships. There's a large focus on what is being done in the classroom and then how to connect students out in the community, I think has been a big focus at our school. And then admin parents, that could be in-person meetings for behavior issues. It could be celebrating at different events. There's newsletters, phone calls, that kind of thing. Staff admin, lots of communication on success and the school improvement, advocating needs. So like I mentioned, some of our bigger staff meetings, that's a huge focus for us is how can we do better? How are we doing compared to the other schools? What are we trying to do differently? And always trying to seek for improvement. That's one thing I love about Rocky is we're constantly trying to improve, get better. And so I think the admin really push for that in a lot of our meetings. So as you can see, there's a lot of different communication kind of back and forth. And again, I think everyone's trying to have the students be successful, whether that's parents, community members, just trying to find ways for students to feel connected at the school, I think is really big for us. Whether that is with a community member, we have lots of people coming in from the community to just mentor, be positive role models for students. I think there's been a big thing there. And like I mentioned, there's a lot of focus on diversity, so trying to feel included. And again, like I mentioned, Rocky's always trying to get better at this. And then here's my references. I only used a couple of the sources that I found like most impactful for this, and those are listed there. Yeah.